Your Words Destroyed My Planet, the stream series. The edited version. Originally streamed live at twitch.tv/dualitiesdownfall. More information in the description.
Your Words Destroyed My Planet, Chapter 23. I told you. I warned you, dog. I said I could pull it off, and here we are. Dave memes at you. You roll your eyes, not because you don't find his dumb jokes funny, but because he needs to know that they're groan-inducingly bad. He has to know. That's just the rules. All the same, you look at Dave laying on his bed, or propped up on his elbows would be more accurate. Your eyes flicker over his bare shoulders, taking in both the compact muscle there and the way his collarbones stand out almost delicately from the way he's laying like that. The tattoo of his call sign's namesake wraps over his skin because that's a lot of bare skin there. At least it is until it plunges into the low, heart-shaped beginning of that sparkly magician's assistant outfit. Look, Kanaya could probably explain it better. You've seen Dave in just his underwear. You could have seen less if he hadn't been so firm on keeping your eyes forward whenever you were changing. So, you know what his bare torso looks like. It's as appealing as can be, that's for sure, but there's something about clothing that's so purposefully designed to hint and accentuate that's almost better than nothing at all. Or maybe you're just partial to bright red. It is your joint favorite color, after all. The body of it clings to Dave in a way that makes your breath catch. From there, the suit cuts out into a really high cut to his legs, and with the way he's laid back, with one leg bent and the other carelessly rested on his knee, it gives you a hell of a view. He's so alien sometimes. Trolls are pretty smooth, not a lot in the way of hair, unlike humans who are covered in the stuff, even if it's so fine you can't see it. But you've touched Dave's skin, and something about it is unreal. But, wait. Didn't you have more leg hair? You ask, as something off about this kicks into your mind. You'd think he did before. His hair's all white, but still, you'd think he did. I am completely fucking offended that you think I didn't do all of the personal grooming required to completely commit to this bit. Offended, Dave says with a sly little smile on his face and reaches up to poke you in the shoulder with his foot. Said foot, of course, is encased in the same pair of beat-up red sneakers that he's had since you met him. He buys a pair, wears them to death, and then replaces them with the exact same. You catch hold of his ankle and give him a look. And these? You ask, tapping your thumb claw in his beat-up shoe. You look down Dave's leg to him, and fuck, that's like a mile of bare skin there. Hey, there's committing to it, and then there's my own personal style. Duh. Dave says with a grin. Uh-huh, you say back, and actually kneel down on the bed with him. So, you like? Dave asks as he sits up a little more, and you catch that flicker of expression, like he's trying to play cool where he doesn't care what you think, but you can see that he does, that he really cares. Maybe there's meant to be some subversion of things here, someone as capable and male as he is in an outfit like this, but you don't get that. He's wearing it because he wanted to, either because he was into it or thought it was funny, or both, and as far as you're concerned, Dave could probably make anything look attractive. But, you know, the whole skin-tight figure accentuating thing really doesn't hurt. But maybe he's a little insecure, but he's yours, and... Wait. You shake the thought off and focus on Dave in front of you instead. What can you say? He's distracting. I like it, you assure him, and kiss him just to prove it. His lips are so soft, and he's so warm. You just love him so much. You break the kiss, your forehead pressed to his as you try to breathe. Dave, I love you, you whisper. He pulls back and stares at you, shocked black and red eyes, and your stomach lurches. All at once, you're awake in a tangle of bedsheets. Oh, no. You really shouldn't be thinking about things like that. Yeah, you can't control your dreams, but you can't let yourself think about Dave like that. It's one thing being aware of your feelings. It's entirely another thing imagining him in a getup like that, imagining kissing him and telling him that you love him. You can't think that, or at some point you're gonna open your dumb mouth and he'll find out. Shit. Shit. You groan in despair and press your hands to your face. Helpfully, your mind replays kissing Dave, replays your hand on his leg, gives you another mental image of that outfit. Clearly, your think sponge hates you. Either that, or it and your bulge have done some collective bargaining thing and formed a union and have decided to torture you with a lot of detail about shit you can't have and shouldn't be thinking about your friend, hivemate, and coworker. You sit up and ignore the siren song of Dream Dave. No way you're going back to sleep now. At least you can look on the positive side of this. He's not here, and you've got a good amount of time until you have to talk to him, and by then this'll all be a weird dream memory. People forget dreams as soon as they're up and moving about all the time. That'll definitely happen with this one. It certainly won't be burned into your mind forever. Determined to ignore all of this, you force yourself to get up, get changed, and brush your teeth, and collect something to eat and drink. You sit down at your desk with coffee and an intent to get an early start on the day before you hear from Dave. You have plenty of time to clear your mind of that mental image. No sooner have you logged on than Trollian pings. Hey, you ready for Dave-a-vision? Your awful fucking think sponge provides you with your own vision of Dave. The universe clearly hates you. But you're going to ignore this and be a goddamn professional about this. You're an adult man with a job and responsibilities. There is no need to let your junk or your blood pusher rule your entire goddamn life. Dave is still your friend and also your coworker. Ignore your stupid thoughts and talk to him. Just be normal. You're the universal champion of having feelings for people and functioning despite that. Deal with it. Firstly, I just sat down with coffee, so you have excellent timing, and second, that is a terrifying way to phrase that. But yes, I am ready. Cool. I'll go make this an audio call, and I have an app on my phone here somewhere that lets me stream my vision. Which, now that I think about it, I don't know why Aqueous always makes me read out eye charts to him at absurd ranges instead of just looking himself. Maybe he thinks it's less invasive? That's a good point. Okay, I'm calling you now. Just deal with it. Dave's call pops up on your screen, and once you've checked that the sound is just going into your ears and not broadcasting the whole room, you pick up. Pizza place, what can I get you? You say, immediately going for the dumb joke, because it's how you actually interact with Dave. That's normal and okay, and nothing to do with how you're, in love with him. Ah yes, the pizza place. That said, there's something for branding yourself so definitively. This is the pizza place. Dave's laugh is warm and makes your pump biscuit flutter in your chest. He can't see you, so you're safe to smile in a way that would probably give you away if you weren't alone. It's the kind of confidence I appreciate in my food service. I think you have to share that you're trying to find how you can access the footage from his eyes, since that's the whole point of this thing, only for the option to suddenly appear on your screen. He must have had to turn something on for you to even see that. You hit connect and it gives you a wait icon. Oh, yeah, I see it. I'm connecting now. I think you'll probably have to confirm that I'm not hacking your vision. You tell him. You probably could hack my eyes, Dave says casually, and it's like a stab in the chest to think that he's so casual about having his privacy invaded. I wouldn't. It's loading, and the video feed from Dave's eyes connects, and you can see Dave's palm husk display with your connection status displayed. Hey, that's pretty clear resolution, you remark, impressed that it's so high quality, even over this distance, and on this planet in particular. Is the shuttle's communication streaming everything alright? Dave asks you and looks about. The world looks almost weirdly rendered, like everything is too in focus. Even in video games, they don't give this much detail because it clutters the field of view. There's no blurring as things are further away, or at least not at the distance Dave is at. I'm sure it's probably a little clearer for you, but it's perfect for me. Wow, everything really is in focus all the time. That's nuts. Watching this feels like a really weird first-person shooter, you say, laughing at the fascinating strangeness of it all. Should I crouch to reload? Press X to grab my toolkit? Dave jokes, and even makes a little half-crouch motion like the video game character he could be. Definitely press X to grab toolkit. You've got a whole shuttle to dismantle, and the seats are the first thing you've got to get out. I've got the specs for everything here, and me and Kupram talked about it, so let's go, you tell him. You can feel the smile on your face as you watch Dave move about the shuttle. You can feel the way the expression is turned into something that Karkat would tell you is completely smitten. He wouldn't be wrong, either. It's not just that Dave is your attractive friend that you like as a person. A lot of your friends are attractive, and this isn't that. Hell, Hal is objectively a good-looking guy, and you really like him, but you're not romantically attracted to him. But with Dave and Karkat, yes, you're physically attracted to them, yes, you like them, yes, you have feelings, but it's more than that. You like every aspect of them. You are a complete mess for Karkat's passion about things, for how deeply he feels things, and how willing he is to tell people to get lost. At the same time, when you see how deeply he cares for people, it melts your cynical little pump biscuit. He's too good for everyone, and you're forever sick with pity about it. And with Dave, it's more than his looks and the fact that he's really easy to get on with. He makes you laugh so hard. Him and Karkat both, actually. And Dave cares, too. He looked out for you when you were heartbroken, and he's supportive, he's sweet, he's kind. Yes, he's all of that shit wrapped up in terrible one-liners and accidental innuendo, but he's the real thing. Him and Karkat both. Karkat is already dating someone else, and Dave almost certainly is not into guys, let alone you. Apparently, your type with guys is perfect dumbasses with hearts of gold that are entirely unattainable. Aradia kind of fits that too. She's a completely dorky science nerd who makes dumb jokes and is mind-meltingly hot. You guess she just didn't do unattainable all of the time. So, what kind of cheat codes have you got? Dave asks, pulling you back into the moment. Right. Helping Dave. Got it. Just you wait until I find out where the B, A, and start buttons are on my Dave console, and we'll be in business. You shoot back offhandedly. That's another thing Dave shares with Karkat. They're both so easy to bounce jokey conversations off of. They both always have a smart comeback right away. Well, at least a comeback, anyway. Wait, shit, you've got a Dave console? I definitely need you to problem solve that later. I keep getting stuck reading dumb shit online, or I walk into rooms and forget what I went in for, or I say shit that my brain did not pre-approve. Dave jokes. I'll see if I can find the manual for that. In the meantime, me and Cooperham have been talking about what you have to take out, you say. Is it basically everything? Dave asks, tossing a wrench up in the air and then catching it. It's a lot, but we worked out that the seats have to go first, and that I do have the manual for, so I guess I'll walk you through the first one, and you can detach a bunch and pile them by the entrance, and this says there's a winch somewhere on the roof for those of us unfortunately born without kick-ass psionics. You say teasingly. Yeah, I know where that is, don't worry. We had to use it one time for a thing. Dave nods, making the picture on your screen move in a way that makes you feel almost a little motion sick. Descriptive. Go get under a chair, you order him. You walk Dave step by step through the process of detaching the first chair, finding that it's pretty finicky, but as you read the instructions out to him, you catch on to what Dave means by being a jack of all trades. He doesn't know how this thing is put together, but you only have to show him once and he's got it and he's figured the whole thing out. Dave can get on with that, and he doesn't really need your supervision, but he tells you to keep the console to view him up and to open it and call him whenever you need to. You make a point to do so when your repair work is slow, but in part you're doing it because you just want to keep him company. By mid-afternoon, Dave's got all of the seats out and is now in the process of taking them out of the shuttle and putting them into the truck, a process that'll take at least an hour and makes you feel awful for not being there with him. If there's a situation that could use a psionic, it's this. Aradia walks in later with her palm husk in one hand and her tray of food in the other. As soon as she gets close with it, your stomach growls and reminds you that you haven't had lunch yet. Hey, Solix, could you fix my palm husk for me? It's being real weird, Aradia says as she holds it out to you. Specific, but sure. Grab a chair. I may or may not be willing to jump you up the queue if you let me steal some of your trail mix, you offer, entirely willing to let her skip the queue anyway. What are people gonna do? You're the only tech support here, and your ways are mysterious and mercurial. Deal, Aradia says with a sly little grin, and you take the palm husk from her. How's Dave going with the whole removal gig? Aradia asks as she moves her food around her tray a little. Tragically, he's not got psionics, so it's a lot of heavy lifting, I think, you say grimly as you fiddle with her palm husk. Sucks to be human sometimes. Yeah, the screen was all weird, and now it's just blank. Aradia explains. You plug her palm husk into your computer and grimace as your machine fails to recognize it so hard it almost thinks you plugged Aradia's lunch into it instead. With a lot of fiddling, it does finally talk to the palm husk, and the whole software is completely fried. Stupid planet. I hope you had everything backed up, because this is unbelievably dead. You tell her. I think I did, she says with a frown. You strip everything out of Aradia's palm husk and start reinstalling it all, stealing your trail mix bribe as you work. Hey, we're good, right? Aradia asks, making you pause and look around. Like, morally? You say, completely lost. No, dumbass. I mean that we're okay, right? Things are good between us, even with the whole breakup thing. We're fine. Friends again? She explains. What? Of course we are, aren't we? You blurt out. I think we are. We are, right? Aradia says back just as quickly. Yeah, we're friends. Hey, I pitied you for like a decade. Even if that number's looking a little cursed right now. We've been friends since we were kids. We just didn't work out. I don't have any bad feelings for you. I thought we'd said that. You say. I know, but all this stuff with Jade, Aradia sighs. You're worried they're not going to be okay with each other, you say as it dawns on you. I didn't mean to be the catalyst that broke them up. Dave's my friend, and Jade's my friend. I don't want to hurt either of them. I feel awful that I had a part in all of this. I've been on Dave's side of things, and I remember how hurt I was when you broke up with me, even if it took a while to sink in that it was really over, she says, looking down at her food unhappily. You seemed pretty unaffected at the time, you point out. It'd been one of the things that really made you realize that you needed to get out. Because there was nothing I could do about it without you there, and when you were there, I guess it just seemed so dumb. I guess I wanted to pretend it hadn't happened. Not that you were wrong about things having burnt out between us. It definitely had, but afterwards, when all your stuff was gone and I was looking at a future without you, I felt awful. But Dave seems to be taking it a lot harder, Aradia says. You hadn't really wanted to see how Aradia was handling it, partly out of guilt and partly to stop the temptation to go back, even though you both knew that'd be a bad idea. It would have been easier, even if it was definitely the worst option there. He's taking it pretty hard. You said you knew I was right about us, but I don't think Dave feels the same way at all. Not that you can undo that breakup or anything, but it's far from mutual, I think. You admit with a wince. Jade feels awful about it. You know, Dave drove out of his way to not go to Omega Base just so he wouldn't see her? He'd rather sleep alone in a truck than be on the same base as her. It's one thing for them to break up, but if I had any hand in destroying their friendship, I don't... She falters. You set Aradia's palm husk down and put your hand on her shoulder instead. I'm pretty sure he just doesn't want to see her now because it hurts too much right now. But he's able to be fine with you, even if he's not thrilled about the whole breakup. I'm pretty sure they'll get to fine eventually. You didn't do anything anyway. Just because you have feelings doesn't mean you had an affair with Jade or something and stole Dave's girl or whatever, you remind her. I definitely didn't do that, she snorts. See? I'm sure they'll be fine in the end, but even if they're not, it's not your fault. You can't get to that part any faster by wanting it. Just let them get on with it and do whatever until then. You didn't do anything wrong, so don't worry about it, you assure her. Sometimes I swear, that kind of statement is the same kind of logic Dave and Gamzee would use. Oh, the future's all the way over there. Don't stress about it. I can see why so many people had you down as past. She laughs and takes a big bite of her lunch, seemingly reassured despite her mockery of you. Yeah, well, your binary system is stupid, and I'm really sure I'm both or something. Maybe perfectly neutral, you say as you click yes, agree to all, and other such options popping up on your screen as Aradia's palm husk is brought back to life. Sorry, doesn't work like that. You get to be one of us, Aradia says with a grin. You consider that for a moment and have a quick look around to be sure that you are indeed still alone. Hey, I I saw Damara and Bro both the last time you two did your thing. I don't really care what Bro thinks of me, and Dave just writes off whatever he says, and it's pretty clear Damara doesn't like him. But I guess I hadn't thought much about the fact that Damara must have been around our hive for as long as we lived together. It seems weird that she's seen that, and I've never talked to her. You say.
Oh, I wouldn't feel weird about not talking to her, because the only other person who can understand her is Father and his ghost Reader, Aradia explains.
Reader? You repeat. That's weird, even for a human name. Actually, you're pretty sure that's not a human name, although you've thought that before and been wrong.
They're a sweetheart, but Tamara's pretty big on people watching and judging. I can tell you what she thinks about you, if that helps, she offers.
You're not sure if you want to know now, but all the same, you nod your head. She thinks you're a big nerd to start with, Aradia begins. Fair, you shrug.
She thinks you're a little boring, but she did always like watching you crush people at video games. Mostly, she just thought that the two of us together was boring because, I guess, contentment isn't that exciting to watch. She got really pissy when we broke up because I was upset and not immediately over it. Her telling me that in another 10 years I barely think about this moment, so why does it matter, wasn't super helpful at the time. But she didn't really have anything bad to say about you as a person, which is rare. She doesn't like a lot of people. She's a little prickly. She does like Dave, though, which is part of the reason we work so well, and she about tolerates working with Bro, Aradia explains.
Huh. What does she think about the others? You ask curiously. She hates GHB. She's not keen on Father either. She thinks Father is, too calm. She likes Reader because they can make friends with just about anyone. She's not a big fan of Gamzee, though. She thinks he needs to get mad instead of being calm, Aradia says. Having been someone that Gamzee is routinely pissed at, I don't think he should get mad. Calm is pretty unsettling as it is, you say with a shudder.
Fair.
Aradia pauses, her head turned slightly to the side, and you guess that Damara is talking to her. Aradia's expression flicks into amusement, although she at least tries to hide it a little as she looks back at you. She also says that you're lucky that Dave is the most oblivious human ever, because apparently you're not subtle. Aradia laughs. Yeah, she's probably not wrong there, you admit with a sigh.
So, you think my palm husk is savable?
Aradia asks out of nowhere, and mere seconds later, one of the other sailors without a tattoo walks through the door. It's restoring, all right. Hey, what's broken? You say, changing from talking to Aradia to the newcomer instead. The tech in the cliffs is going weird. The diggers keep bugging, and we keep following the standard steps to fix it, but now we can't connect to it wirelessly at all, and when I tried to connect my tablet, it broke it, the sailor says, handing her device over to you. You wrinkle your nose and sniff at it. I didn't spill anything on it, if that's what you're implying, the sailor says hotly. No, I think I smelled melted solder or thermal paste, maybe both. Did it get really hot? You ask as you start peeling the case back.
The gloves work pretty well at keeping heat in and keeping it out, too. You probably wouldn't notice,
Aradia points out, and you nod. You unscrew the case and... yeah, that's the power supply that's melted a bunch of connections in the middle. You might be able to fix this, but not in 5 minutes. Thankfully, you have a few spares for just this reason, and you can work on fixing this later. Okay, let me make you a new tablet. Go tell the rest of your group not to connect to anything acting weird, and I'll go... Wait, I can't leave. Dave's not here. You groan.
I can take you and supervise in his place. Eat lunch, make a new tablet, and we'll go to the cliff site together. It's only about an hour away,
Aradia tells you, and then looks at the other sailor.
You can go ahead and tell the others what Solok said, and do whatever else until we get there.
Anything you didn't have backed up? You ask the sailor, who just shrugs a little. Not much. There might have been a report that may or may not have sent, but it was basically, hey, shit's being weird, gonna go try and fix it, so even if that didn't make it out, it'll be covered in what I have to write up after this. The point you put up on the cliffs gets us pretty good signal, so everything syncs pretty much right away, the sailor says casually. Cool. I'll make you a new one, see what I can do with this later, and get to you as soon as AA can take me there, you say, and then immediately worry that you're being a little too informal here.
It's not an unfounded concern. Everyone here outranks you in this job, and just because Aradia is cool with you having a nickname for her doesn't mean it's professional when you're actively working together. Great. See you there. I'll just call the others and tell them to not fuck everything up before you get there. Or hopefully after as well. The sailor nods and walks out with a wave. You guess that wasn't too casual then. I gotta call Dave. Oh, hey, your palm husk is done. Here you go. You say, as you unplug Aradia's device and hand it back to her. I'll go grab you food real quick, Aradia tells you. You nod and chew on your lip absently as you shoot a quick message to Kupram asking if he can cover Dave watch when you go out really quick to fix this one problem. Kupram tells you that it's no problem, but given that the next thing Dave has to take out after this eats is basically all of the food and consumable supplies, he doesn't really need detailed instruction on that, and he'll just have to drive back to Omega to get a new truck and return, so that's pretty much sorted. You're just about to call Dave when the chat with Kupram opens up again. I just thought, the connection between here and Omega is stupid good right now. Yeah? Any idiot can drive a truck. Take truck. AI program fed with route planning and the data from the snowmobiles. Self-driving truck saves Dave time. Self-driving truck on planet that fucks our tech, though. That said, you could put in a feature for it to kill the AI and just park if it loses signal or corrupts. Worst case scenario, he has to drive past it when he drops the truck off and gets a snowmobile back to that one, and that's not exactly hard. No, worst case scenario is it goes rogue and somehow fills its cargo load with space wolves and then runs Dave over and blows up the shuttle. Unlikely, but fuck, I want to freeze frame of that on a poster. Anyway, I'll keep the truck feed up here. It'll be like Space Truck Simulator or something. I like the idea. It saves time. My face when boss approves idea. Okay, well, I'm gonna call him anyway to tell him that. I've gotta go fix shit in a cave. Glamorous life of space tech support. They should make posters about this. Fix tech and fuck around in a cave. Join the sailors today. Shut up and take my money.jpg. In fairness, fixing tech and fucking around in a cave would be following in my ancestors' footsteps. I'll take one of those posters. Excellent! Time to program AI. I'll go tell Dave what's up. You close out of that window and call Dave, not bothering to ask permission to see through his eyes, since you don't need to see what he's doing in order to tell him what you have to. The call connects as Dave wheezes out something that sounds like hi, but you can't be sure. Dave? You ask wearily. Yeah, oh man, I'm sitting down now, having a break. Dave says breathlessly. You okay? You ask, concern rising. Yeah, just hauling everything into the truck and trying to Tetris shit. Stupid extra gravity. What's up? Dave says. Do you want the good news or the bad news? You offer. Both? Dave replies. I like you. You grin. Well, then what's the bad news? Dave shoots back. You know, Carcat would have asked you what the good news is then, because he's an asshole like that. That's also why you like him, but still. No, that was unrelated. Me liking your both answer is a neutral fact, or maybe it's a good thing, in which case, of the remaining good thing and bad things, which do you want? You explain. Make it like a bad news sandwich. What's the bad news middle part? Dave asks. Bad news is I've gotta go fix stuff in the cliff cave, so I'll be away with Aradia doing that for like 3 hours, maybe? I'm being optimistic here. Kopram said he'd take over for me and giving you instructions if you need it, though. You tell him. Damn. Although, I'll probably be on the road by the time you get back from fixing stuff anyway, so it probably won't really come up. Dave tuts. Ah, well, there's the good news. Kupram's writing an AI to drive a truck to you, and probably drive the one you have away, so you don't have to drive overnight or anything. Well, I say writing an AI, he's probably working with what your brothers and sister left him. It may well talk to itself in dumb memes on the way over, but it should get to you. You tell him. Oh shit, that's actually really great news. I've pulled something in my leg right where I need it for driving, so that's great. Dave says, sounding genuinely pleased. Wait, are you okay? Do you need me to send a medical person or anything? You ask, suddenly worried. Dude, I'm fine. It's just a little sore. More than used to it in this job. Dave laughs. Well, if your leg falls off, don't blame me. You say jokingly, although it sounds a little weak to your ears. You can feel the whole... Ugh. Look, you don't think there's any truth to the idea that there's like a troll think sponge and then there's like a bug think sponge that's all your deep down baser things? That's not how evolution works. You're not even taxonomically that kind of creature anymore. Whatever, you get what people mean when they say about things being ancient instincts, but to attribute it to some pre-troll creature in your crazy distant ancestry doesn't make sense. You think humans talk about it too, monkey brain and lizard brain or something? On the other hand, you know there are instincts that you have that have clearly been with your species for a while. You know, the basic pain reflexes, things like aversion to being cornered, or the instinct to hide injuries around bigger trolls so you don't look weak. All that sort of stuff kept people alive, and so it's got to be really disadvantageous now to be evolved out. Otherwise, it just gets a free ride and stays in your genetics. It's not like it's universal either, but there are instincts as far as feelings and quadrants goes. Arguably, the quadrant system is more society than biology, but even Karkat would agree that what you're feeling now is biologically driven. The guy you like just told you that he's physically hurt. Obviously, that concerns you. You offered to get him help, but he said he's fine. Normal and sensible troll with higher reasoning is totally fine with that, but those older instincts, less so. They're basically saying, hey, the guy you have flush feelings for is hurt. Prove we're a good person to share that with. Go look out for him. Call people you trust to help. Maybe, if he sees that you care and you want to ensure he survives, then he'll want to be with you. Which, no. For one, Dave is fine. He's just tired, and he knows this job better than you do. If he says he just pulled something, then that's what it is, and he'll probably just do his insane stretching thing and be fine. You try to tell the baser part of your mind that if you ignore him and send people over anyway, you're gonna look way worse. Not to mention, Nepeta and Polypal will get really annoyed at you. I could get a cyborg leg. Hey, if you had to have a body part replaced, what'd you get? Dave asks curiously. Aradia walks into the room and puts food down for you. You mouth thank you at her. I'd rather keep all my own parts, thanks. You tell him. I can't believe you're not going to engage with me in the hypothetical space I've created for us, Dave says with a pout you can hear. Uh-huh. How many chairs have you loaded up now? You ask, knowing he's just procrastinating. Ugh, a bajillion, and I have at least that left. I lowered them all out of the ship in one go on the winch, and now I'm stuck outside putting them all on one at a time. Dave complains. You're a winch, you say back. How dare you? I'm leaving. Dave laughs and disconnects the call. You look over at Aradia, who is grinning at you in a way that is particularly unsettling, and usually you've only seen this level of borderline creepy smile when she's talking about old bones. Now she's looking at you like her newest and most fascinating specimen. You have it so bad, she says gleefully. I know. Believe me, I know. You groan and stab at your food. It's macaroni and cheese, which isn't a human dish you've ever really had, and this isn't especially enticing you into it. Well, maybe now he's single, you can do something about that, Aradia suggests. Weren't we just talking about how bad his breakup was? And he's, human. They have sexualities and all that stuff. They're complicated. You sigh. Aradia was never jealous when you were together. She knew full well about Karkat and your whole mess of feelings for him. Hell, you talked to her about it a whole bunch. There was no doubt about you being faithful to her, and she wasn't mad about the fact that you had feelings. She always said she could see how you and Karkat clicked, and it wasn't a problem. Aradia told you once that she'd figured that if things had gone differently and Karkat and Yamzi hadn't got together, then it probably would have been you and him, and that likely would have worked out. But there was no point in being all touchy about it, because Karkat was no threat, and you were with her. She's giving you the same kind of look now, about you and Dave. Like, she thinks your feelings are endearing or something. But hey, two can play at that game. What about you and Jade, then? You say, pointing your fork at her. Like you said, it's complicated, and... Aradia starts, looking away from you. She likes women, you point out quickly. Yes, I know. She has the flag on her ID, and she's mentioned liking women before, and me, I think? Aradia looks a little helpless at that, like she's not even sure if she understood something Jade said right or not, and... Oh! Hey,
Hey, AA, same hell, you laugh. No, you don't understand. It's impossible. She's so nice. And she says these things like, oh, Aradia, I wish my hair looked like yours. It's so pretty. Or, thanks for coming out to the bar to keep me company since Dave won't go. Wow, you look gorgeous in that. What am I supposed to think? Is she being nice? What does that mean? Aradia hisses at you. I appreciate the symmetry here, you say wisely as you shovel mac and cheese into your face, because if you don't, you're just going to be grinning at her like an asshole, and Aradia is not above kicking you. Instead of commenting in any more depth about how both you and your ex are dealing with being attracted to people who are unfairly hot, funny, and capable with a habit of saying or doing things that are deeply romantically confusing, you choose the safer option of basically inhaling your food. You actually do kind of hope that Dave and Jade are able to be friends again like you and Aradia are. It'd suck to put a decade into being with someone you like that much only to lose everything. You love Aradia. She's great. You think Jade would be lucky to have her if things went that way, and you're reasonably sure that Dave wouldn't be too upset at the idea of Jade and Aradia getting together. At least, as long as they don't do it tomorrow or something. With your food hastily consumed, you grab your things up and follow Aradia to the changing area so you can both get into your proper snowsuits. Aradia grabs the required supplies in case something goes horribly wrong and you get stuck out there or whatever. Not that you think it's likely, but more that you'd rather not die in some freak accident. So, soon enough, you're on the back of a snowmobile, your arms wrapped around Aradia's middle as she hauls you out to the cliffside mine. Holding onto her isn't all that much different than Dave. Her long hair is braided tight and is settled down the middle of her back near your face, but it's out of the wind, so it's not going to smack you in the nose or anything. Aradia takes up about as much space as Dave does on the snowmobile, but you don't feel the same kind of nervous thrill at being near her. It's kind of nice in the way that holding on to Aradia always is, but being that hugs with people you like are always kind of nice. But it's pretty much platonic. To be clear, it's not that you're not still physically attracted to Aradia. You are. You're just not romantically into her anymore. So even though your higher think sponge function would turn Aradia down if she suggested sleeping together, the rest of you is still, in theory, interested. Really, the only urge you're feeling right now that you have to resist is the urge to reach your hand up and squeeze one of her rumble spheres because it was a dumb game you had. If you two were ever in the same space doing your own thing and you passed her, or if you were close enough to reach, you'd just, it was a dumb thing that made the two of you laugh. Like how if you were standing there brushing your teeth and Aradia passed you, she'd smack your ass and run away before you could react. It was just a dumb, funny thing. Not really something you can do now, but habit is still hard to break. That said, you're reasonably confident that you could stand in your ablution block in your hive now on the ship and have no one smack your ass and run away laughing. You cannot say the same for walking about your hive without getting a shirt or sofa cushion thrown at your head with a gleeful nerd demanding to attempt to beat you in video games. It's not the same, but you still have that, and you still have Aradia. Difference not bad. Your mind wanders to Dave, all out on his own, disassembling a shuttle so you can all get home again. Everyone's counting on him in a way, but somehow it's still shaken out that he's all by himself. It doesn't seem fair how much that kind of thing happens to him. You open a channel to Aradia. AA, what happened when you became a balancer? You ask her quietly. Not much, really. It's probably more jarring for people who've never seen ghosts. Aradia shrugs. Okay, but tell me. You prompt her again. I just saw Damara one day. She didn't seem like the normal ghosts, but she was a little disoriented from suddenly being in the past. Ghosts don't come back knowing everything, and just because they're part of the whole balance doesn't mean they understand it. You have bones, but you don't know about all of them, do you? Aradia reasons. I probably know more than most people thanks to you, you point out. You're welcome, Aradia says, like that was a thank you on your part, which it wasn't exactly. So, then what? You ask again. Well, this was before Mituna. I went to school and Damara saw Bro and Dave saw Damara. He managed to catch me in lunch, told me not to talk about it, and meet him after school where he and Gamzee were waiting. They took me to the other sailors there and they explained it all.
The generation before us was still going, so it was mostly just an explanation then and setting the rules out about not telling people and why. They said how the balance worked, demonstrated how it was so I could feel it, and said they'd slowly show me the ropes. Aradia explains. Who were they, the ones before you? I know about Sam, you say. There was Sam, yeah. There was Silam. She was a sailor and a comm specialist. She was past, like Sam was. She already had a drinking problem when I met her, but that killed her a few years later. Then there was Fandon. They were one of our dock terrorists, but after Silam, they couldn't stay on the same ship without her and transferred. We got a different guy back in return, a human called Craig. I don't know if it was deliberate or not, but he blew himself up on his first mission with us, so that wasn't much of a transfer. Loxlow was a purple and future like us. Outside of Sam, she was the last one surviving from that generation, but there was a huge influx of the Void, and she put everything into protecting the ship from the attack, and she just keeled over dead. Ryozo went around the same time, entirely unrelated to the whole balancing thing. He just broke his arm and needed surgery to fix it, and had an allergic reaction to something they gave him. Aradia explains, matter-of-factly. But they were adults and you were kids. They were adults doing a job that apparently has a stupidly short life expectancy, and they were dragging you into it, you exclaim, in horror and anger both. It's not fair, but keeping the balance is the only thing that keeps everyone safe. There's a lot I don't agree with, and I don't plan on dying anytime soon, but keeping the balance is the one thing I do agree with, Aradia says, and you wish things were as simple as she seems to see them. You were kids, you emphasize again. What kind of goddamn psychopaths live that life and see kids showing signs of haunting and drag them into it? What kind of people put so much pressure on Dave doing this to survive that he, by his own admission, speedruns the sailor application process and immediately has doctors replace his goddamn gander bulbs? He didn't even want them replaced, he just had to have them done. Who does that to some 16-year-old kid? You can probably guess. The anger burns out of you as you think about it. You can probably guess who does that. Probably people who were just kids themselves once and also got pulled into it before they knew better, who also got crushed by the weight of the burden put on them, and after so long of being like that, see someone else who can help. They probably wanted to ease them into it, tell them the reality of it, and let them prepare for it before they actually became sailors. Their whole barometer for normal or okay was probably broken long before by whatever and whoever got them into it. Just a whole line of damaged people continuing a whole cycle. Dave blowing up at Aradia for treating you, maybe becoming a balancer, as anything but a tragedy makes a lot more sense now. He doesn't want that for you. You don't want it for him or Aradia either, but that ship's already sailed, apparently. You can't even talk to people about it, you say quietly. That's not true. We talk to each other. Me and Father talk plenty, and even if Dave doesn't talk about this stuff all that much, we still both know. Gamzee less so. We worry about him, but you can't help someone who won't let you. On top of that, most of the sailors know, and we at least don't have to pretend we can't see the ghosts around them, but you can't really talk about how it works with them much. You don't want to panic people. Aradia sighs. And everyone else? You never told me, you point out. Yeah, Aradia says tightly. You know that tone. That tone tells you volumes. It's the way she'd talk about other scientists fucking shit up and not listening to her when she was right. Like, this is a stupid goddamn decision. You don't agree with that, you say slowly. I don't. It's stupid. I'm not saying run screaming around the ship with the news, but people not knowing is a bad idea. I know keeping people in the dark means there's fewer people like Vicari who want to take a walk outside and never come back, but secrecy is a stupid idea that'll only backfire, Aradia says bitterly. Wait, did Vicari know about all of this? You ask her. You thought he didn't. Well, no. He had that desire to explore and find the unknown, and telling him would have only given him more fuel for it. We've seen people go that way before. Keeping pretty much everyone in the dark is supposed to minimize that, but it didn't do Vicari any good. Aradia concedes. So, why not do something? you ask. Aside from the immediate court-martial, I'm not about to blow up my friends' lives. I don't think knowing has any bad effect, and Damara's pretty much hinted that in her time regular people do know. I don't know how that happens, but it'll happen when it happens, I guess. I won't do something that'll put my friends in danger when it's not something they've agreed to, and right now they don't agree, so it's stupid, but there you go. Aradia explains with a sigh. I guess, you mumble. You agree with Aradia in the way you normally agree with her about big things. In the grand scheme of things, you can see the practicality in not being all short-sighted and making a rash decision that'll get you in big trouble. You can see the practicality of being there for the other balancers and trying to coax things into being different slowly. It's a big picture view that's very smart, very sensible, very Aradia. Things will change, all in good time. Don't worry about it. Only, it neglects the very real, horrifying short-term present and offers no actual promise that the end goal she is reaching for will ever come. But then, what can you do? So, you're not the only one who thinks this whole thing is messed up, at least. It's not even Dave's or Gamzee's fault for keeping things quiet and doing their jobs, since this whole thing was clearly awful and traumatizing for both of them. But then, Sam probably wasn't a bad guy. He tried to save Matuna, at least, but from what Dave said, he mentored him, and probably Gamzee. A harsher take on that was that Sam took two terrified, fucked up kids and told them to do this job or else everyone they know and love dies in a horrific way and they are never allowed to tell anyone else about it. That's a messed up thing to do to someone, even if it probably happened to him too when he was younger. But if no one changes anything, that cycle doesn't stop, does it? Everything is fucked up and I hate it, you announce. Aradia takes one hand off of the handlebars to pat your hand on her middle, a consoling little, there, pat. You'd be more annoyed about that if you hadn't frequently, in the past, said that exact same thing. But this time you really mean it. God damn it, when will you learn? Boy who cried Space Wolf over here, apparently. When you get to the cliffs, the problem turns out to be both frustrating and easy. Easy in the sense that what you have to do to the corrupted tech is just rip out any nuance or hint of code and then put it all back in again. It's not the kind of thing anyone else here could have been trusted to do, but as a solution it is technically easy. What's frustrating about it is there's no reason for this to be happening, and you don't know why the planet does this. What's worse still is you won't be here long enough to figure it out, which means it's just gonna annoy you indefinitely. You get done and Aradia drives you back. You fix a few things, salvage that tablet for one. You find out that Kiprim got that truck going to Dave so he can keep on with what he's doing. You dip in to talk to him now and then, telling him the next things on the list and walking him through it, but you can't stay for long because people are coming back from their day shift with stuff that broke during the day but wasn't worth coming back just for that one thing. You eat dinner with Dave, for all the miles between you and the sound of his voice hurts you somewhere in your soul. Not like... It's nothing he says in particular, he's just saying usual Dave shit, but you're so hyper-aware of how serious and intense your feelings are, and it's hard to deal with. With Karkat, it's an old ache, but Karkat knows how you feel, and you know how he feels, so there's this unspoken understanding, and you're able to get a clue and act accordingly, without either of you having to actively mention it. That's not the case with Dave, and as he talks, he sounds so tired from everything he's done today, and it makes you ache. You wish you could make it better. You wish so goddamn much and so many things. But he doesn't know how you feel, so it's all the harder to deal with. A very stupid part of your mind considers telling him. Hey Dave, sorry about all of this. If you were sorry, you wouldn't say this to him. And I'm not expecting anything, which is why you won't say it. But I'm in love with you. God, no! He just got his heart broken. He lost a 10-year relationship, and he was the one who was dumped, not the other way around. If someone had confessed to you in the week of your breakup, you'd have screamed at them. Even if you wait, you know it wouldn't be better. Dave's good, and he's an adult now. He'd have more tact than he did when Karkat confessed to him when they were barely teenagers, but even then, aside from a hasty and firm denial and lots of floundering, Dave wasn't bad to Karkat, but things were tense and weird for a good while. He'd be better about it now, you're pretty sure. More tactful, determined to keep your friendship despite everything, but it's still a no. Your thing with Karkat hurts less because you both know about it and because the feelings are mutual. This isn't the same situation. All the same, you call Dave when your shift is over and you're sat on your bed about to go to sleep. He picks up pretty much instantly.
You know what I miss? My bed.
Dave says in your ear as you hold your palm hushed to your head. You miss sleeping in a tent with him.
What?
Shut up. No. Get over it, Solix. This is fucking desperate and sad. The one here or the one on the ship? You ask instead.
Especially the one on the ship, but I was thinking of the one at the base you're at. Essentially anything that's not the truck.
Dave says. Wait, why are you in the truck? Isn't that colder than the shuttle? You ask in surprise.
Yes, but some dumbass took all the seats out of the shuttle, so I'd be sleeping on the hard floor. The truck bench is padded at least. He sighs.
Ouch. How's the leg at least? You ask.
It's fine. I put heat stuff on it and stretched it a bunch.
Dave says lightly.
Don't picture that.
Damn it.
I'm just saying, I'm sure Equius could hook you up with a great leg.
You say lightly.
You get one if you want one so bad. Dave shoots back.
I could never get just one. That'd drive me nuts. Can you imagine having only one robotic limb? At least you got a pair of eyes. That's fine.
You say with disapproval at the idea. I didn't exactly have other options there. It couldn't be like, hey, 2 eyes is great, but why not get into some... He pauses.
Some?
You prompt. I don't know the word in Alternian, only Spanish. Trepanar? To drill a hole in your head for medical reasons. Used to be a thing they did on ye old Earth. Dave explains.
What, to do think sponge surgery? I don't think there's a word for getting through your think pan just for that. It's just surgery.
You frown. No. Just drilling a hole in your head was the whole procedure. People did it, mostly to people without anesthetic back in those days.
Dave tells you.
Why the fuck would you do that? Did it even work?
You breathe in horror.
Mostly no. I guess it would have if your think sponge was actually swelling and you needed to relieve pressure, but they didn't know that. It was the era of medicine where people were like, doing something is better than nothing, so hole in the head it is. It was the same point in time where we were all like, something's wrong with you. Ghosts in your blood, probably. Let's make you bleed. That'll help. Dave explains.
At the risk of getting an HR lecture from Carcat, I don't think humans should have been left unsupervised on Earth. What the fuck? You say in horror.
Humans. Anyway, I couldn't have told Equius to drill a fun new hole in my head and then just pop an extra third eye in the hole. I was pretty predestined to have 2. Dave says casually.
Well, good. I like you with 2 eyes. You say, with a yawn, and Dave gasps in your ear like he's both shocked and offended.
Solix, that's highly inappropriate, commenting on things you like about my body and / or my disability. Why, I ought to complain to Carcat, Dave says in faux offense that you can hear him barely holding on to without laughing. Do it, coward, you shoot back, and Dave breaks down in immature snickering.
The 2 of you stop talking eventually and go off to sleep. In the morning, you walk him through dismantling and removing the water reclaimer and the air processor so he can put that in the truck as carefully as can be. Then it's a scavenger hunt of things you want to keep. At the end of that day, he decides to have dinner, nap for an hour or 2, and then drive straight back to the base. He stumbles into your room in the middle of the night, falls onto his bed with a squeak of springs, and is immediately asleep. When you wake up, you leave him be and get breakfast and started on your own work, fixing the things that glitched out overnight that weren't urgent enough to wake you. Dave joins you come lunchtime, which you actually eat with the crew, although afterwards you're not able to remember what it was exactly you ate because Nepeta comes in the room and drops a bomb on you all. She calls for attention and everyone shuts up and looks around, wary of what she might say. We got news from the Tuin just now, and so me and Polypa are passing it on to all of you. It is with sadness that we have to tell you that Father Velius died yesterday. It was a freak accident. A water main blew, and the rupture of it threw him into the maintenance trench. Between the impact and the resulting avalanche of dirt, we've been told he died instantly, pretty much as painless as you can ask for with that sort of thing. His funeral is being held at 1900 tonight. Take a few minutes then and say your goodbyes. Sing a song if you want to, or just a few minutes of silence. I wish I had better news to give you, that's all. Nepeta says grimly. You look around at Dave and Aradia, sat side by side at your table. They're wide-eyed in shock, but Dave's expression shifts through grief and into something more practical, where Aradia just looks lost. "Shit," Dave says finally. "I'm sorry," you say to them both, and after Aradia was telling you about the short lifespan of balancers. "Nothing we can do about it now. I hope I go quick and painless too. Fuck, poor guy," Dave sighs, his gaze downcast. "But the ship," Aradia whispers. "It was going his way to start with. As long as Gamzee can keep things under control, everyone else should be fine. Not that we can do shit about it from down here, Aradia. There's no point speculating," Dave reasons. "I hate this. At least we know where Father's going and we can see him again, but..." Aradia trails off, looking devastated. "Not to be accused of being ruthlessly practical, but I think if you two are going to be singing the funeral song, I'd better have Solix with me," Marshti says a few seconds later. You wonder how Matuna's doing, since he wasn't faring so hot the last few times you saw him. One way or another, you suppose you're going to find out. The rest of the day has a pretty somber air to it, whether it's because a death at all is sad news, or whether people are concerned about the ship being left with just Gamzee to balance it, you don't know. Maybe Fazzer was just really well liked. You can't say you got the chance to know him, and now you figure you never will. Dave spends the day taking stuff out of Shuttle 1, and with Aradia's help, he gets things from Shuttle 2 in there pretty quick. Her psionics are pretty useful. When 1900 rolls around, you've had a snack at Marsty's instruction, but not eaten your main meal yet. She doesn't want you to have low blood sugar, but she doesn't want you to lose your dinner or anything either. Dave can't be in there with you, since it'd look pretty weird. He's known for making public appearances at funerals, and him not being there leading the song with Aradia would look questionable to those who don't already know what's really going on. The door is cracked slightly, and though plenty of people are singing with him, it's Dave's voice that pierces through your think pan. You get the first line. "Oh, I bid farewell to the port and the land," before your vision tilts something dark and shaded like you're in some noir movie. Shadows too dark and deep, nearly everything lighter, just shades of gray. Then, there in the doorway, there's a figure. At once, it's on you, cold fingers digging into your shirt, and the shadowy face that's right up against yours ought to make you think of Hal, but he's never looked at you like you're just a thing to be used at best, and an obstacle in his way at worst. You fall backwards, and he holds on tight as you fall through the place where you are. That's the only way you can think to describe it. What Bro does reminds you of that time when you saw Dave swim, when he was teaching you to swim, where he'd cut through the water, then twist and kick off from the wall, propelling him away. It's like he rides your soul along to wherever the ship Matuna's stuck in, and then kicks off of you, leaving you stuck in Matuna in a way that feels discordant and wrong. Matuna's vision swims into place for you, and you blink a few times as things resolve themselves into something coherent. Bro is floating nearby and looking around hurriedly at what's around you. You're looking around as best as you can as well. Vriska is sat on the ground, staring at you, but her expression is vacant and slack in a way that screams psionic control. Bro is mumbling to himself, but he's not considerate enough to have his self-directed monologue in a language that you speak, so you've no idea what he's doing. Vriska's expression sharpens, and she robotically looks down at the screen of her tablet that's resting in her lap. You realize that you can't hear the song anymore. Whatever Bro did to hitch a ride here is fucked with your normal connection. Matuna is vaguely aware of you, but you've no idea how to communicate with him. Footsteps snap your attention back to the present moment, and a woman that you've only seen pictures of but can instantly tell is Vriska's ancestor marches into the room, followed by someone you don't know. You don't know her, she's some human, but you know her face, kind of, at least. You've seen Bro and how his features scatter through his children in some genetic patchwork. In the same way, you know her by her presence in the absence of Bro's features. Her pink eyes are much like Hal, Dirk, and Roxy's. The sharp scrutiny of them is something you've seen hints of in Dirk and Rose. The way she looks at Matuna like he's something she wants to take apart is a level of callous disregard entirely foreign to you. Bro whispers her name in the closest thing to affection you've ever heard. He moves in front of her, but she walks right through him without seeing him. Bro looks around at her desperately before looking up at the lights and reaching up. He doesn't blow the light by making it get bright and short out. It's like he just drowns the light in darkness and kills it. Dave's, and you use the term here as loosely as possible, mother, looks up with an annoyed noise in her throat. You feel the ship recognize the light being out, and you definitely feel the helm hurting Matuna as if it's his fault and forcing him to flick it back on. The light returns, and she goes back to looking Matuna over, Vriska's tablet now in her hands.
I definitely feel someone else in there,
Mindfang says as she peers at Matuna too. Bro curses in Spanish, a quiet few words that you know from working with Hal. He bolts clean through the wall, which leaves you stuck in Matuna's body with Dave's mother and Mindfang, who are both looking at Matuna with the kind of interest that you find deeply upsetting. Matuna's clear distress at the situation echoes through the back of your mind, and you try to mentally reach for him, to let him know he's not alone, that you're here with him. As you're doing that, though, you feel something. Dave talked about how the things you see when it comes to this spooky shit aren't actually visual. That's just how your mind perceives it. That's how he could still interact with it just fine when he was basically blind. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for you to explain this as a feeling rather than a sight. Matuna is strung up in place in the helm's block, and the wires that connect him tether him both from above and from below. You imagine this thing you can feel as, like, a snake or something. You've seen in movies the slow way they unwind themselves and slink down from above. Or maybe like a distant tornado reaching down from the clouds above to touch the ground. All the same, a darkness descends from above and winds around you and Matuna curiously, with flickers of red and blue crackling through it.
The other helmsman's graft is interfering. I can filter it.
Dave's mother pauses, her finger over the screen stuck in place.
What?
Mindfang asks. Dave's mother pauses, tilting her head slightly as she considers something. Her white blonde hair, so like Dave's, shifts against her shoulders and brushes a delicate silver chain around her neck with a small pendant on it. Before you can see what it is, she absently picks it up with one hand and moves it slowly along the chain like some habitual tell.
My instruments in the lab are picking another ghost up. It's using the remote writing tech, she says slowly. The balancer you dissected? We really don't need more ghosts around here,
Mindfang tuts.
Soy Dirk, un fantasma que está con Dave. Estamos en el Atuin en el sitio,
she murmurs quietly. You don't speak Spanish, but you do speak linguistic mad libs well enough to have a decent idea about what's going on here. Somehow Bro's talking to her. You know, his given name is actually Dirk, seeing as the Dirk you know basically ganked the name from him, so you don't have to be a genius to work out that he's telling her who he is, just to be clear. You can also pick out Dave's name and the name of your ship, which means he's at least told her where Dave is, which is bad. It's all kinds of bad. Can you get out of Matuna's body and go stop him? You try, but freeze when your ancestor half forms out of black smoke, descending with his hand on Matuna's shoulder and looking at you. You plead silently for his help. Psionic's shadowy form curves in the air, his body bending more than an actual spine would ever allow. He hisses, the sound seemingly coming from everywhere, and launches himself through the wall with a red and blue flash of light. There's a distant yell of alarmed Spanish and a bang that sounds like a lightning strike, and Psionic drifts back through the wall.
He stopped, but there's still a connection with this one,
Dave's mother says, looking up from her screen to you, or more accurately, at Matuna. Psionic floats over to you and reaches through your chest and pushes. It's Aradia's voice that washes over you first.
Never been this bad, she says unhappily. I'm getting through it. This is definitely Bro. It's not just whatever happened before.
Another voice, you think Damara's, says. Aradia relays that message to Dave, who just groans.
I mean, that'd explain it. I've still got his connection, but the fucker's MIA.
Dave hisses. You groan and clumsily bring your hands to your head. Ghostly fingers slip through your hands and your head a little more, and then things start to brighten around you. Groggily, you open your eyes to see Marsty leaning over you.
That
Sucked, you croak. How are you feeling? Are you having problems with your speech again? Any pain? What's going on?
Marcy asks. You stare hazily up at her face and try to take stock of how you feel. Where are my glasses? You ask, and you're too tired to care how much your lisp fucked that word because you weren't paying attention enough to say it right.
I took them off in case you broke them. Here, Marcy says, and puts them in your hand.
After sliding your glasses onto your face, you sit up. Dave and Aradia are there too, as you thought, but you can't see Damara. Is Damara here? You ask Aradia, who points to an empty space off to the side. I could hear her. Now I can't. I want to thank her for fixing my head, or... Ugh. You rub at your temples. What happened? Aradia asks, ever patient. I heard the song start, and then Bro was in my face. I came to as Matuna again, but it felt all wrong, and I couldn't hear any music like I normally can. Bro was there, on the ship. I think I saw your mom, Dave. You say warily. Dave's mouth pulls to the side in a displeased little expression, and he raises one finger as if to pause that train of thought for you as he taps away on his palm husk with the other. He pulls up a picture and zooms it in before turning his palm husk around to face you. It's the same woman for sure, but the background doesn't give you any idea as to where the picture was taken, but she doesn't look pleased about it at all. That's her. You nod.
Then what?
Dave asks. Your mom was there with Mindfang. I think she was controlling Vriska. She seemed to be waiting for me to get back in Matuna again, like she was trying to detect me. Then Bro zipped off and started communicating with her somehow, through some kind of tech, I think. I'm pretty sure he told her who he was, something about you and the ship as well. Then I'm pretty sure Psionic went and attacked him. After that, Psionic came back, gave me a shove, and now I'm here. You finish explaining. There's absolutely nothing going on when it comes to Dave's expression. This is the actual poker face, the one with zero tells at all. Dave? Aradia prompts him.
I'm sorry he did that to you. I'm not surprised. He tried to float the idea by me, but it's not like I said yes. It's not like he's ever cared about me agreeing to things or not. I'd say that I'd keep him banished when I'm balancing, but I literally can't. But maybe Damara can guard you a little if she knows that he's gonna try that.
Dave says after a moment, a practical solution and nothing like what Aradia was really asking. She'll try, but Dave... Aradia tries again.
But nothing. I have no idea where she is or how far away that is. It's pointless to wonder. Even if she cared to come track me down, it wouldn't have been fantastically hard for her to do that before now if she was really determined to, which means she doesn't care to. Bro is of the misguided opinion that she cares about him, which she doesn't, so I doubt she's going to do anything with whatever he told her. And even if she did, the Atuan has weapons, and we know her ship from before, and if she managed to get through that, we have guards, and I'm more than capable of making myself an orphan directly if I have to. It's nothing. What's actually important here is making sure Bro doesn't keep fucking Solix up. This isn't fair to him. Dave says, like he didn't just casually discuss his mother's potential death or attempt to stalk him. Why is she so interested in Solix and Matuna, though? Marcy asks. If the circuits can sense the connection, maybe it means something for her research. And is Bro gonna reform here with Dave or on Matuna's ship? Aradia asks. Dave shrugs, still expressionless. Dave, you venture. How are you feeling? Like, actually in yourself, how are you feeling?
Dave asks, deflecting your concern with his own question. My head feels pretty shit, but it's nothing that coffee and painkillers wouldn't fix. I'm fine, mostly. You answer.
Great. If anything changes, if you get any hint that Bro's around you or anything like that, then call me. I've got a shuttle to build.
Dave says, his voice monotone. You nod, so Dave gets up and walks out of the room without a backwards glance. Well, shit, Aradia says grimly, and you can't help but agree. You head back to work as soon as Marsty's looked you over and given you pain meds. Dave, ignoring his feelings and the news about his mother like that, has to be bad, but you've no idea what to do about it. As far as you hear, he's busy, and when he calls you up about whatever he's doing next, it's all quick and professional. The only thing close to actual talk is him asking how you're feeling each time.
On the subject of how you're feeling, like shit is how you're feeling. There's a pressure building in your head that feels just god-awful. Marcy checks you out, and your think sponge isn't bleeding or anything, it's just pain. You skip dinner and just go right to bed. It hurts too bad to sleep. It hurts enough that you don't even have to tell yourself not to think about Dave getting undressed when you hear him peeling his clothes off in the dark. He clicks the door closed, and the noise makes you whimper. Dave crouches down by your bed, the dim red of his eyes flickering over you. He reaches out to press a cool hand to your forehead. You're all clammy, Dave whispers. It hurts, you manage to say. Your teeth fucking ache. Your sinuses feel like something died in them and then exploded. You'd cry if you didn't know for damn sure it'd make it worse. Damara says there's nothing else she can do, and Bro's not showed up again yet. Not that I'd be that happy about him being near you if he was, Dave says, and his hand moves from your forehead and through your sweaty hair. Honestly, you're a mess. Dave's hand bumps against your horns, and you suck in a sharp breath. Horns are bones with a keratin enamel around them. If you get a bad injury to them without damaging the bone core in the middle, you can shed the outer layer and regrow them, and though they're far from sensitive, they are attached to your goddamn think pan, and that hurts. That wasn't what he was going for, though. Instead, his fingers graze your scalp and horn beds. Is it like pressure? Dave asks in a hushed tone. You make a weak noise of agreement. Your head definitely feels like it's got a lot of pressure in it. Dave moves his fingers through your hair until he's in some secret configuration of points of hornbed and scalp. Before you can question him on it, he applies pressure. The relief is so sudden and strong that you garble out some assurance of some kind that it helps, and you hope requests for more in a dignified manner. It probably wasn't dignified, but given that you're too pain-crazed to really remember, you don't care. Dave moves, and his other hand mirrors his first, and the relief from the pain is so good that you could cry. It takes a while until you're back to your senses, and at that point, Dave's in your bed with you, his hands in your hair, applying pressure just so. How do you do that? You croak out. When I was a kid, our ship wasn't great, and the atmosphere where our school was got the pressure wrong sometimes. I got a lot of tension and pressure headaches, so... Dave explains quietly. I'm sorry about all of this, making things harder, having Bro fuck things up through me. You apologize. You didn't do anything wrong, man. Sorry I've been some kind of way about it. Stuff with Mom can be... It's rough, Dave says in the dark. His fingers dig into your hornbeds a little harder, and then carefully he dials the pressure back. You whine as the pain starts ebbing back in, but Dave goes back to how he was before you can even ask him. Go to sleep, Dave says, his voice hushed. Dave is close to you. You're tired from all the pain and finally free of it. You're not going to turn the offer down, and you're probably out in minutes. Dave must keep his hands where they are, though, with all that pressure on them, because you don't wake up from pain. What does wake you some hours later is one half of a hissed conversation in Spanish. Dave arguing something, pausing, and venomously saying something back. Obviously, Bro is back, because you're pretty sure Dave doesn't go around having half a conversation by himself in his native language, much less an argument. Dave's only got one hand in your hair now, and even though the pressure's slipped with Dave leaning away from you to argue, it's not like the pain's coming back. Dave? You mumble, and feel him freeze against you. He looks down at you, only for his eyes to dart away, and his expression hardens. Leave me the fuck alone, Dave hisses to the unoccupied corner of the room. Dave falls down next to you in your bed, and his fingers go to your hair. Don't worry about it, Dave says before you can ask. Sure. It doesn't hurt as much now, you offer up before he can ask. Not as much or not at all? He asks as he settles into place next to you in your bed. His fingertips press into your think pan with careful pressure, and the relieved sigh that escapes you is answer enough, no doubt. There's not a lot of room on your little bed for two, but all the same, you move a little closer to him, your legs tangled together and your arm around his waist. You fall back to sleep in no time at all. In the morning, you wake up with Dave gone and your head full of static throbbing all over again. You try to copy what Dave did for you, and that helps a little. The bed next to you is still warm, and Dave's clothes are still on the foot of his bed, and besides which, his palm husk is on your shared little bedside table, so he's not gone far. It feels like your ears need to pop, like there's some pressure in them somehow. You work your jaw to try to fix it, but nothing happens. When Dave comes back in the room with his hair towel dried, he gives you a look of concern.
Still bad?
He asks, keeping his voice low in case it hurts you.
Yeah, you mumble. Okay, let's get you up into Marsty, Dave decides.
He bullies you into dressing and shuffles you back into Marsty's little go-to medical room. Marsty and Aradia are there when you get in.
I can give him painkillers, but Aradia was suggesting that the pain is probably from connecting with Matuna the wrong way. It'd be easier to fix the problem instead of just medicate a solution,
Marsty says as you both come in. I could completely lead, I mean. That'd give Bro less of an opportunity to get in, and Damara can keep him away, Aradia adds.
I'd do anything to stop this, you groan. Guitar then, or?
Dave asks Aradia. Yeah, guitar, Aradia nods.
I don't know if this is a migraine thing or what, but can anyone else hear that noise? I don't know if it's been going on a while, but it's really painful, you say with a wince.
Everyone pauses and listens. You can still hear it. It's like a distant, high-pitched, continuous sound. Not super high-pitched like something electric, but still present.
I can't hear anything except people. Normal bass noise, I mean, Dave says.
It's setting my teeth on edge. You really can't hear it? It's like, I don't know, high but not electrical. You groan, hands on your temples. Dave and Aradia exchange a look of concern.
I'll go grab that guitar,
Dave mutters and hurries off. Marsty has you hop up on the bed again, leaving you wincing and rubbing at your head. It's not helping at all. It's not someone shouting to someone else outside, because the sound is continuous, not cut up into words.
Try to unclench your jaw a little. If you're hearing something, it might be partly pressure from your jaw,
Marsty advises you. You work your jaw a few times just to make sure it's doing something that's not clenching it. It's getting louder. Can you really not hear it? You ask as the sound grows. Aradia and Marsty shake their heads as Dave comes back in the room with his hand around the neck of a guitar. You can scarcely hear him and Aradia quietly confirm something over the sound. Dave sits and starts to pick out a quiet tune with deft fingers, and Aradia starts to sing, but it's getting harder and harder to hear over the noise.
Oh, Johnny, won't you come home soon?
It's a scream. You can hear a scream. It's louder now, and you can tell that's what it is for sure. Someone's about to die, you choke out. Dave gives you an alarmed look, but seemingly he and Aradia can't stop once they've started. The world slips out from under you, and with it, the scream. You open your eyes again to the sight from the Helms block. Mindfang and Dave's mother are standing looking at you, or looking at Matuna at least. And again, it's the same as before. It's a repeat signature, which suggests that this can be done over incredible distance, Dave's mom says with a smile.
A young man's love is something to be.
Your gaze flickers behind them to Vriska, who has a bloody nose. Her eyes lock with yours as she one-handed reaches for a medical tray. It's very obviously distinct, but I can't control it, Mindfang agrees, moving closer to peer at you and inadvertently blocking Vriska from your sight. From the helm, it looks like this new ghost is synaptically occupying the same space as the host subject, not one specific area of the think sponge. I wouldn't be able to surgically remove it, but it certainly seems to be coming from outside, not inside, Dave's mother says and tilts Matuna's head. The pain of the movement makes him silently cry out in your head. His ability to scream in person is long gone. As she moves Matuna's head, you get a shot of Vriska between the frame of her ancestor's horns. She's got a syringe and a vial of something, pulling back the plunger. She palms the empty vial and then dives the needle into a different one and pulls that out too. Matuna's mental litany is just an endless plea to make it stop, over and over again. You heard a scream, a final scream, but you're not sure yet just whose it was.
And the wild geese, they are flying home.
I hate being in here. I can't make him shut up about how much it hurts and make it stop without screwing with the helm operation. Mindfang hisses, her claws sharp on Matuna's face and by extension yours. Dave's mom makes that sound that adults make when they're half-heartedly agreeing with a child just to get them to shut up because they're busy doing important grown-up stuff. Never mind that Mindfang is a good goddamn deal older than her. Vriska moves quick as a flash. The needle of her syringe plunges into Mindfang's neck and she jams the plunger down quick as anything. Mindfang yelps and then drops to the floor like a sack of bricks. Before she's even hit the ground, Vriska slams the edge of the medical tray into Dave's mom's face, making her shriek and stumble back. "Sorry again, but now we're even," Vriska says, her voice distorted as she bites the plunger out of the syringe with her teeth and pulls it back, filling the syringe with air. With one swift movement, she buries the needle in Matuna's chest, right into his stuttering blood pusher. "No!" Dave's mom yells, but Vriska slams her hand on the end of the plunger and Matuna's barely hanging on blood pusher is suddenly full of air instead of blood. It's agonizing. He's screaming, you're screaming, Dave's mom and Vriska are yelling, but you can't hear them now. All you have is Aradia's voice in the dark and Dave's quiet guitar.
And the wild geese, they're flying home.
You jolt, and the room in the base swims back into view around you. You can hear the last note ringing in Dave's guitar. Your hands drift down from your head, the pain and the screaming all gone. Behind them, Damara is bodily blocking Bro up to the wall. You can see them, even now, so... You realize Dave and Aradia aren't looking at you, but rather somewhere a little off to your right. Turning, you see Matuna. Matuna like you remember him, your cooler, dumbass older ancestor who you always looked up to and nearly died of agony when you lost him. He doesn't look so much older than you now, kneeling next to you on the medical bed, staring through his slightly translucent, white-tinted hands. He looks up from his hands to you and swallows thickly. That really fucking hurt, he whispers, like he's not used to his voice anymore. It won't hurt anymore, you promise, and reach for him. You go to hug him, and your arm slides clean through him. That's the part that actually makes the tears start to fall. All of that, and you can't hug him. Pulling back, Matuna carefully places a hand on your chest, and you can just feel it, like static or pins and needles. He looks at you, glowing white eyes emotional, and bites his lip for a moment before he speaks again. "Thanks for the out, man," he manages. "Fucking hell," a mutter comes from across the room. Looking over, you see Bro sullenly leaning against the wall, his arms folded as he glares at you and Matuna. "AA, you can't understand him, right? But you can understand Matuna?" You ask slowly. "Fucking nobody understands him," Dave mutters bitterly. "I can't understand what he's saying, no, but you and I can understand Damara and Matuna," Aradia says instead, far more helpfully. "Yeah, I didn't understand what he said. Also, hi Aradia, you're older and hot now. Nice one, Solix." Matuna grins at you. "You're just going to not address that particular thing right now?" "I could understand Bro, though," you point out. "That's not how that works," Bro says flatly from the other room. "Wow, you're as shitty a scientist as you were a parent. Just ignore new data, why don't you?" You shoot back. "Maybe because it's so soon after the song ending, he's still picking up some of your energy, maybe?" Aradia wonders. "What energy? He basically did nothing," Damara points out. "Listen, you little..." Bro starts to move towards you and then freezes just as he gets to Dave. The strip light above you all starts to dim, and even when it flickers back to normal, the shadows in the room stay. They coalesce together on the ceiling above you and hang lower like boiling, dark storm clouds. Something functionally approximate to arms comes down and rests on either of your shoulders. The joints in the hands aren't right. It's like someone trying to draw their limbs from memory with their eyes closed and maybe also completely shit-faced drunk. The fingers don't have joints in the right places. The claws are too long and curved in a way that's more like animal claws than troll claws. A growl that's part thunder and part grainy, distorted recording of a troll growl rumbles above you as the cloud forms into a torso, a head, something like a face. There's too many teeth in there, the eyes too big and cartoonishly sharp,
and the doubled set of horns too clean of detail.
Don't you fucking dare. How'd you even get here? You can't haunt another ghost.
Bro hisses, jumping back a little with a ghostly sword in hand. You touch the ghost's hand on your shoulder and feel the same familiar static that you got from Matuna. He's connected to you. He's not. They're both haunting me, you whisper. Bro takes a sharp step towards you, and that's all it takes for Psionic to launch himself at him. There's a yelp and a flash of red and blue, then Psionic drifts to the ground as smoke and curls under the bed you're sat on.
The fuck?
Dave whispers in awe, peering carefully under the bed you're sat on.
You reach over and grab Dave's shirt.
They're both haunting me. I'm not past or future. I'm both, just like I said I was. Fuck your binary choice. I'm both! You cackle.